Okay, let's lay out a game plan for October. I want to establish some fail safes because we are now in October and the clock struck midnight. I'm making this in September, by the way, but clock struck midnight on October. Now we are done with September. It's time to wake up. September is over and October is here. October's here, baby. Let's go. But, oh no, before we do that, the government is going to shut down. I got this question over and over in my life. How is this going to affect crypto? Guys, is the world going to end? Are we going to implode? Are we literally going to implode because the government is shutting down? You're asking, by the way, a libertarian if he's sad about a government shutdown. Just think about that for a second. You're asking if this blob, this massive blob that has no business being as big as it is, a beacon of inefficiency, a beacon of these departments and organizations that have 10 people for a one-person job. You're asking me if that's going to have a negative effect on crypto. My goodness. Okay. No. All right. I've seen this playbook play itself out before. This is, I don't even want to say it's nothing. It's less than nothing. It's not worth considering my time. And please, let it shut down. Let's have an extended shutdown. But what's actually going to happen is some people are going to be affected by this. Some people are not going to get paid. And then you're going to hear some sob story from some single mom who works 5 hours a week in some department that doesn't need to exist. But, oh no, I'm going to have to foreclose on my home, which she's not. But I'm going to have to foreclose on my home. And then the pressure is going to be applied to both sides, and they're going to reach some compromise that they're not happy about, and then life will go on. The longest ever shutdown was like 30-something days between 2018 and 2019, and Bitcoin, nothing happened with Bitcoin. I mean, that was the bottom of the bear market. Like, nothing happened. And I can really resonate with this. The only thing I fear more than the government shutting down is the government staying open. Or I'm going to show you some data with government shutdowns in stocks. Crypto's not old enough, but government shutdown in stocks. The only thing that has me scared about the government shutting down is the fact that Jim Cramer says investors should not worry about the U.S. government shutdown. All right, that's it. That's it. All right, and he said yesterday or 2 days ago that we should be buying crypto. Jim Cramer, will you shut your mouth? Jim Cramer. All right, here's some data. And then I want to look at the charts. All right. So the U.S. government is potentially going to shut down in less than 18 hours as Democrats and Republicans are deadlocked to fund government spending, blah, 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 blah. 54% of the time, the stock markets go up during a shutdown, and 46% of the time, they go down. In other words, a common troll comment when I give some analysis that doesn't specifically say this dollar amount at this time. So you're saying it could go up or it could go, yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying will happen in markets with a government shutdown. It could go up or it could go down. That 54% of the time stock market goes up during a shutdown, 46% of the time they go down. Because oh no, we're not going to spend as much money on jobs that don't need to exist. Oh, the terror. All right, but 12 months later, markets are positive 86.4% of the time with an average gain of 12.7%. So let's not worry about the stupid government shutdown. Stop asking me about that. It doesn't matter. It actually, just shut it down entirely. And I mean, not all of it, but most of it. The parts of the government that are going to shut down are essentially the parts that should stay shut down. I mean, not entirely, but a good amount. All right, so September's over. Of course, I'm making this in September. At this moment, we have had the 5th ever green, by the way, September in Bitcoin's history. I know it's not green for Ethereum. Bitcoin's all that matters for the most part. 4.27% as of this exact moment I'm making this video, 4.27%. It is, you watching this video on October 1st, if I were to bet anything, I would bet my entire net worth that we closed the September green. I mean, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, United States. So green September. What's the third best September ever? All right, even though this September, yes, it was really bad. It was typical of September. This September was the third best September ever, and we're crying saying it's over. Which, okay, you know what? Maybe those people are right. I mean, there are some really smart people. There's really some smart TA people who are on edge right now, saying that everything looks bearish. And listen, there's a lot of altcoin charts that we could look at, and those altcoin charts do not look good. But the thing that I constantly remind myself of is that things can turn on a dime. And Bitcoin and Ethereum are at good levels. So if Bitcoin and Ethereum are at good levels, those altcoin charts that look like an absolute disaster, once Bitcoin and Ethereum rise, those altcoin charts can rise. But yeah, man, a lot of altcoin charts look terrible. I mean, really, just outside of the top 10. Inside the top 10, a lot of altcoin charts look really good. So maybe for now, stick with large caps. I mean, really, it's large caps, and that's it. There was a time I would have said large caps and meme coins. Meme coins are not the play right now. They are hemorrhaging. And that's going to be the case until we see at least a new all-time high with Ethereum, but really just price discovery for Ethereum. So, but other large caps will warm up as Ethereum makes its way back to a new all-time high. So, a couple things here that I'm looking at as like, all right, somebody asked me a question during my live stream yesterday, and I was honest with them. I said, they asked, let me say what they asked first. They asked if we had a red October, would I just sell all my crypto? My answer is yes. Yeah. Now, if we had a red first 10 days of October, I will not sell my crypto. Absolutely not. At the end of the month, I'm going to look at the month of October, or if it looks like at the end of October that things are red, I'm going to sell most of my crypto. And understand the crypto that I hold is actually like healthy charts, so I'm not selling at the bottom. But that shouldn't scare you, by the way. But here's my mindset behind that. It has nothing to do with being a bear, nothing at all. I'm not going to be a bear when I sell. I will still be under the assumption that Bitcoin and Ethereum in the crypto market will get to $7 to $10 trillion this cycle. But what I would want to see play itself out is those who are infected by the 4-year cycle mind virus. Because there's a lot of you. A lot of you are still in this mindset that it has to happen the fourth quarter of 2025 or it's not going to happen at all. And I am telling you, what we're getting in the fourth quarter of 2025, if you are married to that and you are planning on selling all of your bag in the fourth quarter of 2025, it's going to disappoint you. I actually have a lot of confidence that these next 3 months, if your eggs are all in that basket, it's going to disappoint you. And I'm going to show you why in a little bit here. So Ethereum, let's say worst case scenario, we have a red month. Best case scenario, we have a green month, I'm going to hold. Or if we have a flat month, let's say Ethereum on October 31st is $4,100.04. I'm looking at that price right now, or $4,104, excuse me. I'll hold. I will hold. If Ethereum is below a trigger level, I'll sell. I have a stop loss in place. And what's that trigger level? It would be more than one daily close below this lime green, puke green line here. That's the 4-year trend line. And why that? Because I'm talking about Ethereum as a Wyckoff reaccumulation crypto right now. I do not think this is distribution. I think it's reaccumulation. If it's distribution, that's where we're going to see this break down. And I don't want to, I want to sell towards the end of distribution or after a confirmed breakdown of distribution, which means that no, Ethereum's not going under $1,000. It means that it's going to have to accumulate somewhere, maybe below $3,000 or something like that. Sure. You know what? Let me sell at $3,700, something like that. So if we see Ethereum below this green line, it's 37 and change, something like that. Couple days below that, or even below this bull market support band, yeah, that it would invalidate, in my opinion, a Wyckoff reaccumulation. Some may still try to interpret a Wyckoff reaccumulation here. I don't think so. And I think we'll have time after that to reaccumulate. But again, this is worst case scenario. Worst case. Okay. Bitcoin. Bitcoin would be under the 21 week EMA. So 20-week SMA is currently, these are rising indicators, 111,744. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin went down there or filled the CME gap. CME gap's around 109,000, something like that. That would be another bounce off that 21-week EMA. I'm not going to worry about that if we see Bitcoin do that, 21-week EMA. But yeah, if we were to see a weekly close below the 21-week EMA, what's my mindset here? I would tend to think that Bitcoin's going to go down a level and range, accumulate between something like $92,000 and $100,000 for a bit. Something like that. Not the end of the world. Not calling for a bear market. Absolutely not. But again, those infected by the 4-year cycle mind virus just need them to just dump their bags and give up before they're on the sidelines for a leg higher. A significant leg higher, by the way. So that's my mindset. It's just out of curiosity, not just out of curiosity. It is entirely like, I'm bullish on crypto. I think we're going to $7 to $10 trillion. I think Ethereum's going to 7 to 10,000. I think Bitcoin is going to go much higher, much higher between now and the next halving, and that it would peak way higher than where it is in 2027. But the whole 4-year cycle nonsense, I mean, there's a part of me that just kind of hopes that this happens, that we do have a red October and those losers are shaken out. And then, early 2026, we have this big bull run. And so why am I saying, by the way, that whatever comes for this quarter, it's probably not going to make all of our wildest dreams come true. It's this chart right here. Actually, let me just pull it up on TradingView. USB COI. USB COI. This is something that Raoul Pal talks about. And where is it? USB COI. All right, you know what? Bear with me for a second as I try to actually get USB COI on here. And I think I removed it from my TradingView. Okay, so let me put USB COI here, and let me put Bitcoin in the lower one, not Ethereum, but Bitcoin. And let's see if there are any parallels between Bitcoin and manufacturing. Spoiler alert, there are some parallels, okay? Well, more so the crypto market, and so I should really have Total 2 on here, but I'm going to keep Bitcoin on here. So just, you can see it's not perfectly lined up, but where my mouse is on the bottom pane, you can see that there's a dotted white line on where manufacturing is. And so look at where manufacturing peaked in 2021. What month was that? March 31st of 2021. That is where manufacturing peaked in 2021. And it actually got way higher than any time that we can see before then on this chart, at least. So it peaked on March 31st of 2021. Bitcoin had that first peak, and the total altcoin market cap had that first peak in April and May of 2021. And we had alt season. We had full-blown alt season. Look at the correlation between that and manufacturing. We have from May 31st of 2020 when it bottomed out, and then obviously, government stimulus out the wazoo, and we saw manufacturing increase dramatically. And what happened? Alt season peaked at the same time. And then manufacturing bottomed out, and we are still kind of in this bottom area. And of course, yes, Bitcoin rose. Why did Bitcoin rise? Because of the halving. Because the halving actually has an effect on Bitcoin, but not on altcoins. But it has an effect on Bitcoin, and because of the ETFs. Halving and ETFs. That's why we haven't really seen these big explosive moves in Bitcoin. It's just been taking the ladder up and grinding, ladder up and grinding. I, for now, would expect that to continue. And maybe it'll be a little bit more of a grind this time because of the 4-year cycle, But what I would not be surprised if at some time we saw manufacturing start to do something like this. This is what I talk about when I'm talking about the business cycle. The business cycle. And so what happens when manufacturing does that? Risk on. Much more risk on than what we're seeing right now. And so that is likely. That's very likely. And for sure, between now and the next halving, that's likely. And it may even be imminent that we, even like the next manufacturing report, we would see a slight increase, and then one after that, an increase and an increase and an increase. I mean, we're not in recession territory yet. I've talked about that as well. Oh man, what was I thinking with that? Oh yeah, GDP was revised last quarter. It was revised up. It's like, okay, that's interesting. So if GDP is revised up, money's flowing, there is always the worry of inflation. Quantitative tightening is ending soon. There's not actual QE yet. That's not on the horizon, but there's stealth QE. So, and this very much aligns with my mindset that the stock market is going to have a 1999 scenario where it just explodes, has one big finishing move, and then that's another peak. So that's kind of my mindset right now. I know it's, so I'll be done after this. I know I'm kind of rambling at this moment. And for those of you still watching, thank you so much. But this idea that all of this would happen in 3 months and we'd have this big explosive all season, guys, it's not happening. We can certainly see a good movement in altcoins. We can certainly see Bitcoin dominance go down really hard. But if we're talking about 2021 or 2018 levels of euphoria, it's not happening. Not in 2025 at least. All right. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll most certainly be seeing you in another video.